I always liked to watch movies when I was a kid in East Germany. And it was always this kind of American social critical movies they showed there. It was apparently some idea of the commies to show us how bad America is by showing their movies. And the movies were things like Vanishing Point. So I loved it. That's how I got interested in America and in going places by watching all those weird early 70s movies as a kid. And once I got out of East Germany, I joined some kind of film collective, a movie house collective in Nuremberg, West Germany. It was just a bunch of people with a budget that came from the city in some kind of big sort of punk culture center. And it was just those people were running their own little movie theater. And everybody had to learn everything about projection and how to book films from distribution agencies and all that. Yeah, then I got in contact with all these New York underground people in person, like Richard Kern and the Cinema of Transgression people. And I organized for them tours in person. They traveled around Europe then with their films, just like a traveling rock band. It was the filmmaker going from town to town, showing movies and giving introduction speeches. And then in '92, I decided to move to New York because I just liked it there. I'd like to hang out with the people there. And to give me some reason for going to New York, I enrolled in New York University at the Cinema Studies Department at the Tisch School. So I graduated there in '94. But I decided to stay on in New York and was just running a movie house for a while and did kind of film show related jobs. And also traveled around to other parts of the States to show movies there. And in '96, I met a Japanese girl, and I had this idea of traveling around Japan with a program of American underground movies. And so she had worked at Sony Music before that, so she knew about organizing things, but she didn't know about movies and had no movie contacts. But I knew some Japanese, kind of old Japanese avant-garde filmmaker, Takahiko Imura. He was living in New York at the time, and he had all the contacts, but he didn't want to organize anything. So he just handed over all these address lists and things to this girl. And then she went ahead and organized it all, and in '97 I came to Japan the first time, showing a pretty long short film program of American underground stuff, pretty recent, or kind of 1990s movies. Fukuoka was the greatest show because it was in a Shinto shrine, just like here, inside the shrine hall. We showed 2 hours of far-out American underground porn kind of stuff. And I really liked it in Japan, so in '99 I came back with a program of American stag movies and showed that pretty much at the same places. And then also I got in contact with film festival people in South Korea. So now I'm also going to South Korea and help out the film festival there in organizing some shows. Like I showed the stag movies at this festival in Puchong in Korea in 2002. It was like the first public screening of pornography in Korean history. That's at least what they told me. Because they have the strict censorship laws, they had to turn it into some official seminar, academic seminar. It was like everybody of this like 300 people attending the show had to fill in some forms with giving their name, their age, proof their identity with their ID card or driver's license, and they had to state the reason why they want to see the movies. So they really enrolled like in a college class. And but that way the festival got away with doing the show, so it went really well. So now I'm just here and mainly writing and enjoying Japan and thinking up some new film shows. Well, I had traveled around Japan and I'd been to South Korea, and it was just some kind of drunk idea one night with some people at the local movie house back in Germany, thinking, there's this kind of really weird little leftover communist country pretty close to Japan. And I had read somewhere that they are making movies there, but I had never seen any. And I didn't really know what their movies would be like. I just expected them to be kind of over-the-top propaganda. And so I went to the Berlin Film Festival in 1999, just with the idea, okay, they have some kind of diplomatic mission in Berlin, these North Koreans. Maybe I just show up there and ask them. And I mentioned this plan to a friend of mine who runs an independent movie theater in Berlin. Just kind of passing, like when he was asking me what's your next ideas of what to do. So I told him, and in that moment he said, do you want to meet North Koreans? They are coming to our office all the time. I said, how? So it turned out that this movie theater gets films for the North Koreans. It's like there's one diplomat at the diplomatic mission, which was not the embassy at that time, it was just some special diplomatic thing. And he would always show up with big lists of film titles and tell the theater people, please get us those movies as quickly as possible. And the money didn't matter to them. And he didn't care what language the movies were in, if it was dubbed into German or if it was in Japanese or whatever. It was only important, it had to be 35mm and they had to be quick. So they just rented the films from distribution companies and then handed them over to the North Koreans, and after 2 weeks they got them back and got paid. So they told those North Koreans about me, and then a couple of days later I get the phone call and they said, the North Koreans have some very high-ranking official here in Berlin, some guy from the film export company, and he wants to meet you. So it turned out that he was in Berlin and didn't really know what was going on and what he was doing there. And nothing of his business worked out. So he was glad that there was this one kind of weirdo guy coming up with this idea that I would tour a program of like 10 North Korean feature films through about Europe. Of course, there was a big problem with the subtitles. He told me all the films, they have no subtitles. So I told him I did this Japanese film tour with using the subtitler. And I could do the same with the North Korean films if they provide me with the dialogue lists in English. And so he said, yeah. And then I said, well, I have to come to North Korea first. And in the beginning, they didn't want it. They wanted to have like a visit to Korea as like kind of the prize at the end, saying, you did a good job, now you can visit. And I said, no, it doesn't work like this, because I cannot show North Korean movies if I don't know anything about North Korea, if I haven't been there. And if they offered that they would send me videos and I should make a selection of that, I said, no, that's not gonna work. I have to come to North Korea first. Otherwise I cannot answer any questions of the press and stuff. So they said, okay, we will invite you to the Korea film show. They have a film festival there, the Pyongyang International Film Festival, every 2 years. But in '99 was the year that they didn't have this kind of official international festival. So they invited me to this Korea film show.